First, the TikTok sale. We explained why the US got the chassis, but China kept the engine.
Then why diet soda is dying while zero soda booms.
And the one stock with a $7.5 billion veto over New York City.
The mix of three stories. It's a T-Boy Jack. Let's hit the pod. This is Nick.
This is Jack.
Welcome back. It is Monday, January 26th, and today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Jack, I got another update for you. You know, my birthday wish was for guac to be free. We just got a DM from Chipotle for free guacamole, my friend.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're Yetis over at Chipotle. They just broke the laws of economics and made guac not extra for us.
That is a first ever. They've never done this for anybody, Nick.
Chipotle, thank you for the warm capitalist hugs. Jack,
let's get to the news.
For our first story, it's final and official. TikTok's U.S. business is now American-owned. TikTok will not be banned.
We'll tell you who the new owners of TikTok are and if they're actually in charge or not.
Yetis, the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, and all 9 Supreme Court justices agree on one thing.
TikTok cannot be legal in the United States if it continues to be owned by China.
Well, now, 6 years into this TikTok saga, TikTok U.S. is not owned by China anymore as of last week.
That's the big news. TikTok announced that they have separated off their U.S. business and sold 80% of it to non-Chinese investors.
ByteDance, a Chinese tech company that owned TikTok, is keeping 20%, but they're giving the other 80% to mostly American investors.
They're giving the other 80% to the consortium.
The consortium. I feel like we need a music thing there, Jack.
The consortium is made up of billionaire investors mostly connected to the Trump White House, and they got a sweet deal.
We say they got a sweet deal here because they got to buy 80% of TikTok's American business at a $14 billion valuation. Jack, could you sprinkle on some context?
$14 billion, that's the same valuation as Snap. It feels to me like TikTok is more valuable than Snap.
It's basically one lift if we look at the numbers, Jack.
So what happened here is this consortium, they basically got offered to buy Apple stock, but at a huge discount to Apple stock's actual price.
TikTok was on the TJ Maxx sale rack lately. But Jack, pause the pod for a second. When you mention the consortium, I'm envisioning like a team of characters in Star Wars, the consortium. Like, what do we mean by the consortium that bought TikTok?
Leading the pack is Oracle, which is owned by Larry Ellison.
Besties, of course, you know Larry Ellison in the news for buying Paramount for his son and now trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery as well.
Well, now his tech company, Oracle, will house and audit TikTok's source code on its U.S.-located data servers.
Okay, so we got Oracle owning 15% of TikTok US, and Silver Lake, a random private equity firm in California, they own another 15% of American TikTok.
Oh, you want random? How about MGX, a Middle Eastern sovereign wealth fund? They're going to get 15% of TikTok US as well.
All right, so Jack, let me whip out the whiteboard and calculator here. 3 times 15%, that's 45%. Jack, who owns the other 55% of American TikTok?
We didn't get exact percentages of the rest of the investors, but they include
Michael Dell, billionaire founder of Dell Computers, and VC firms like Susquehanna, General Atlantic, and 7 other VCs who previously had invested in China's ByteDance.
Mr. Beast, the YouTube star, he tossed his hat publicly in the ring and said he'd love to own a piece of TikTok. He got left out.
Looks like he got left out.
Now, ironically, the biggest owner of TikTok US today,
who is it, Jack?
Still ByteDance.
It's ByteDance from China.
Their 20% is bigger than all the other investors, and they get to keep 1 seat on the board of the company.
Besties, like we said at the top of the pod, in this case, M&A doesn't stand for mergers and acquisitions.
It stands for messy and ambiguous, especially because of our takeaway.
T-Boy VC got left out of the deal too. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at American TikTok?
Remember that Burger King catchphrase, "Where's the beef?" Well, for the TikTok sale, where's the algorithm?
Yetis, this sale of TikTok US to prevent TikTok getting banned, it may follow the text of the law, but not the spirit of the law.
Because the most important part of TikTok is not being sold at all. The algorithm.
The algorithm.
That remains in Beijing.
Now, reminder why China owning TikTok was a problem in the first place? It's because of propaganda.
China is the most sophisticated propagandist the world has ever seen. And they were in charge of Americans' media diet. The For You page, which we scroll for like 4 hours a day.
But Jack, it appears China is still in charge of that media outlets algorithm situation. TikTok's press release actually said Oracle will secure the algorithm.
It also said that the US entity will have the power to moderate, i.e. take down content from TikTok it doesn't like.
But the key here is still the algorithm, which determines what you see next and is the reason people like TikTok in the first place. It's still made in China.
TikTok US will pay ByteDance to use their algorithm. That's the situation here. Like a McDonald's franchise paying McDonald's corporate to license the Big Mac.
You know what, besties? Lindsey Graham, the senator, summed it up well. We've gone round and round and ended up not too far from where we started.
Because if TikTok is a car, we Americans got the chassis, but China is keeping the engine.
Where's the beef? Where's the algo? For our second story, there's a new business battle brewing between diet soda and zero sugar soda. Boomers love one, Zillennials love the other, but they're pretty much the same thing.
Diet Coke versus Coke Zero Sugar. This is the parent trap of branding.
Besties, whip out the calendars. We got 13 days till the Super Bowl in San Francisco. But we already know one commercial we're going to see on TV and one that we won't.
Diet Pepsi will not have a Super Bowl commercial this year. Pepsi Zero will.
And the reason? Well, Pepsi's CEO put it this way. We've gone all in on zero sugar.
A majority of Pepsi's marketing budget this year is going to their zero sugar branded sodas.
We're talking Pepsi Zero Sugar, Mountain Dew Zero Sugar, Crush Orange Soda.
Zero sugar. Across the soda aisle, the words zero sugar are everywhere right now.
We're talking about our buddies over at Dr. Pepper. What's going on with Dr. P, Jack?
Keurig Dr. Pepper owns a bunch of soda brands, and 5 years ago, they had zero with the word zero sugar on the can.
Today, Dr. Pepper has 40 different soda brands with the word zero on that label.
And the reason is in these numbers. Diet Coke sales are up just 1% in the last year, but Coke Zero sales are up 5%.
Diet Pepsi sales are down 4% in the last year, but Pepsi Zero sales are up 18%.
But yeah, just so we're clear here, both Diet Pepsi and Pepsi Zero, they're both calorie-free. They both use artificial sugar imitators, and they're nutritionally 100% the same exact product.
Plot twist here, it's basically the same thing. Yeah, there's a slight difference in taste, but okay, come on.
Coke Zero Sugar is a little tamer on the aspartame, but it's 99% Diet Coke.
I mean, when Jack and I are looking at the strategy here, it's like the plot of The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, right, Jack?
Yeah, these two are the same. Same DNA. Just different outfits.
Do you want the Napa lifestyle or the London lifestyle? I can never decide, Jack. But here's what we find fascinating, Yetis. It turns out there is a huge generational divide in terms of which soda label you actually reach for.
Boomers have embraced the word diet ever since Diet Coke was invented in 1982.
But that word diet, it's kind of like a different era, right, Jack?
It conjures images of Weight Watchers, calorie counting, Jane Fonda fitness videos, just like a life of scarcity and restraint.
Yeah, if you were born in the 80s or 90s, your mom definitely had an entire cabinet of Snackwells, the diet Snackwells. You know what we're talking about.
But zero sugar, on the other hand, resonates with Zillennials, who are wellness-minded.
Zillennials, you're not doing diets and you're not counting calories out there.
Instead, after Pilates, you're checking your Oura Ring to see your blood sugar levels.
As one marketing executive put it, besties, diet is a radioactive term for anyone under the age of 40.
Diet is like Voldemort. You don't say it.
And that's why over Thanksgiving, your parents' fridge was filled with soy sauce packets and 2 liters of Diet Coke.
Meanwhile, your roommate has a jar of hot honey in their fridge and a 12-pack of zero sugar Pepsi.
Gets me every time it's a giveaway. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over in the soda wars, man?
If a brand is a book, we very much judge it by its cover.
Okay, so Yeti's Diet and Zero Sugar, they're almost identical products, and yet totally different performance and totally different customer bases.
I think it's crazy how we consumers can be so turned off by the word diet, even though it's 95% the same as the word zero, which we love.
But the truth is, because of consumer psychology, psychonomics, we don't drink liquid, we drink the label, and that actually goes way beyond just soda.
It's a reminder to all of us that for quick consumer decisions like what soda to grab, we make surface level decisions.
Yeah, like you watch a YouTube video based on a tiny thumbnail picture, or you buy a lip gloss brand based on its weight when you hold it in your hand.
The truth is, we're uninformed on these things. So if a brand is a book, we have to judge it by its cover.
It's the same in politics, right, Jack? Like the same issue presented with different words can provoke very different reactions from people.
The diet versus zero soda divide, it's a reminder that if a brand is a book, we very much judge it by its cover.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor.
For our third and final story, New York's Penn Station, the most trafficked transit hub in America, is on the brink of finally getting renovated.
The new Penn Station glow-up looks incredible.
It's a glam up, baby.
But the stock market winner is actually Madison Square Garden.
Oh, Yetis, you've seen it, you felt it. If you enter New York City through Grand Central Terminal, you feel like royalty.
If you enter New York City through Penn Station, you feel like a rat.
Yeah, because when New York demolished the old Penn Station back in 1963, and my dad has still never forgiven him for it, it was a crime against humanity.
Penn Station's replacement, which we still have today, makes 107 million transit passengers a year feel like they're in some kind of a subterranean Hunger Games.
Hey, Amtrak, I volunteer myself as tribute.
Nick, you're in survival mode down there.
Oh, it's every commuter for themselves, Jack. For decades, city leaders have tried and failed to redo Penn Station, but continually failed.
A big reason? Madison Square Garden, which was built on top of the new Penn Station in place of the old Penn Station.
You see, Yetis, the world's most famous arena actually requires 1,000 columns to support that arena.
That's why Penn Station, which is underneath it, feels so cramped. All those columns are holding up the garden right above it.
But here's the news. The political planets appear to be finally financially aligning, largely because of President Trump.
The New York City real estate tycoon wants to leave a legacy on the city, so he's prioritizing a Penn Station glam up like no other president has before.
And we dove in T-Boy style. Last week, Amtrak named 3 finalists to redevelop Penn Station from top to bottom. This is the project of a generation.
And the most exciting of the 3 plans is called Grand Penn.
Grand plan, and honestly, the plans are Napoleonically grand.
Napoleonically.
I'm gonna go with that one, Jack. It's a rebirth of classical architecture inspired by the original Penn Station. It looks fantastic.
It looks kind of like the Colosseum.
Oh yeah, it's got ancient Roman riz, Jack. That's what it's got.
The plan also calls for a public park and a grand commuter train hall for the passengers, all above the ground, not below the ground.
But pause the pod, Jack. I'm no architect, but if there's going to be a grand public park and a grand train hall where, what's there right now, man?
Madison Square Garden is there. So the only way this plan happens is if this famous basketball and hockey arena moves across the street to a giant vacant lot where the Hotel Pennsylvania used to stand until it was recently demolished.
That's the key. Nothing can change about the current Penn Station as long as MSG is squatting on top of it.
And with the famous basketball and hockey arena out of the way, that would open up America's biggest development opportunity.
Which leads me, Jack, to the paycheck. What is the cost of this? Where is the bill? How are we doing this?
It's up there. The cost is estimated at $7.5 billion. For moving the arena and building the new station.
Okay, but Jack, considering President Trump's administration just gave Argentina a $20 billion bailout, $7.5 billion feels like, pocket change billions right here, man.
Which leads to the interesting stock market angle here.
And what is that?
The winner, if this happens, is Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden, not on Madison Avenue, a circle, not a square, and no gardens on the premises. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at MSG?
In real estate, it's all about the veto.
Yetis, America's law and order holds property right up there with life and liberty as the most important thing.
And Madison Square Garden Entertainment, the $7 billion publicly traded company, owns the arena that is blocking this mega project.
And only if they agree to move across the street will the new Penn Station ever become a reality.
That's why, regardless of which developer and which plan gets chosen by Amtrak and the Trump White House, it will only happen if MSG Entertainment gets a humongous check, like billions of dollars.
And gets a brand new arena in the world's richest city and capital of live entertainment.
MSGE, as it's called, is already one of the greatest entertainment stocks.
I mean, totally, Jack.
They own the New York Knicks, the New York Rangers, and they're hosting Harry Styles for 30 shows this year, starting in May.
But Madison Square Garden also owns the veto to renovate Penn Station.
And that veto is very valuable.
Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for us to kick off the week?
TikTok US is not owned by China anymore. It's owned by a consortium of mostly US investors.
Burger King asks, where's the beef? We're asking, where's the algo? Because it's actually still in China.
For our second story, Diet Coke is out, Coke Zero is in. 99% same product, very different consumer reaction.
Yeah, it's like the Parent Trap. If brands are books, we very much read them by the cover.
And our third and final story is Penn Station. It could finally get renovated, bringing it back to its old glory for $7.5 billion.
But only if MSGE agrees to move across the street. That veto is very, very, very valuable.
But besties, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, perfect finale to dry January, Jack. Tom Holland, the Spider-Man actor, is now a British beer mogul.
His non-alcoholic beer brand, Beero, just hit a $100 million valuation.
Beero, they had $10 million in sales in their first year. Now they're doing $30 million for fancy fake beer.
Speaking of fancy, they've partnered with Aston Martin and Barry's Boot Camp.
Non-alc beers. Getting some sex appeal out there.
Second, the United States Postal Service is hiring an agency to try to glam up their image.
According to Ad Age, it is a wild and wide-ranging opportunity, not just doing USPS ads, right, Jack?
Newman! The Postal Service wants to emphasize how it uses AI and show that it works with rivals like Amazon.
They even want you to redesign the post office lobby. They're looking for a mail-in glam up. Because when you control the mail, you control
information. And finally, the biggest winner from Davos is a small French sunglasses startup.
That's right, because French President Emmanuel Macron had a sore eye, so he wore aviator-style glasses while giving speeches at the Davos events.
Turns out they're made by Maison Henri Julien, a small French brand that sells them for 700 euros.
And all that attention on the French president drove $4 million in sunglass shade sales. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one, because it's Monday, is T-Boy Trivia. Jack, you're the trivia master. What do we got?
It's about Madison Square Garden. Self-proclaimed nickname, right? What do they call it? The most glorious arena on the planet or something?
It's the world's most famous arena, and I think you just got banned by James Dolan because of that, Jack.
True.
So, Madison Square Garden, not on Madison Avenue. It's not square, and it is not a garden. But the question trivia here is, how many Madison Square Gardens have there been?
This isn't the first, or the second, or the third.
Nope.
It's actually the fourth Madison Square Garden.
That's right. Madison Square Garden has moved 3 times. This is the 4th, and a new one would actually be the 5th MSG.
Get this. Before it moved to the current location, it was actually on 49th Street.
It was uptown. It came downtown.
I don't know if 49th Street's uptown.
Yetis, you are looking fantastic to kick off the week. Jack and I will be with you here every day to make you the most interesting person in the room. But we also want to meet you in a room, don't we, Jack?
Yes, we do. And we're coming to New York City on April 8th and to Washington, D.C. on March 11th. March 11th.
We've already sold out our live shows in Austin and Los Angeles. We would love to see you in D.C. and New York. Grab your tickets. We got a link in the episode description.
And Nick and I will see you tomorrow.
If you know, you know. And before we go, a happy birthday to Tariq Abiola, turning 8 years old in Milton, Ontario. The first son of Usman and Bimpe. Brother Otto is pumped.
Happy birthday to Ashita Swami, turning 9 years old up in Lakeville, Minnesota.
And Samantha C., happy birthday down in Santa Clarita, California.
Happy birthday to Trevor Baldwin in Birmingham.
And Austin Jacobs got the big 32 down in San Jose.
Happy birthday to Caroline Mountain over in Sierra Leone.
And Christy and Tim enjoy the anniversary celebrating in the big OH, Ohio.
And a huge congratulations to Yana Embry from Kyiv, Ukraine, who got promoted to Director of Customer Success and is moving to San Francisco.
Yana, you're gonna have a blast.
And to anyone else celebrating something today, make it a T-Boy.
Celebrate the wins.